let's start off with the airlines. What do you think? Because the airlines are going to have to adapt. They already are adapting. And you look across the timeline of history, or the timeline of aviation, the low-cost carriers didn't exist back in the 60s. Or I didn't think they did anyway. Or they didn't exist in the same entity that they do now.
No, definitely not. I think technology's helped that massively. Massively. Like, it's all about speed. How quick can you turn it around?
Yeah,
constantly. Yeah. And you've had a lot of airlines try the low-cost transatlantic flights.
Yeah.
And most of them have failed eventually.
I think my personal thoughts on this whole transatlantic at low cost, I think there's obviously a market there. There obviously is going to be a market there. And I think it'll open up because there's always going to be demand. Like for those who've not been fortunate enough to travel across the Atlantic, because let's be honest, it's quite a high fare to travel across the Atlantic, even at the lowest of times, like economically like lowest of times. But there's definitely a market there. Like look at me, look at Orlando. Orlando's already a really popular destination for young families, because realistically we're looking at kind of like the young generation who won't be able to afford. I know it's stereotyping, but like the younger generation won't be able to afford. But I think low cost transatlantic opens it up to a lot. There's a big market there.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting it's not worked yet.
I just think it's all about timing. I think now it will likely work, or it's more likely to work, should I say?
Yeah. I guess the one thing with the airlines, the low cost airlines that have been successful on a European scale, let's say, or a local scale in quotations across Europe, is that you're kind of willing to just sit in a not very comfy seat with no entertainment and having to pay for your own food, but you're willing to do that because you're getting a cheap flight.
Yeah.
Will people be the same? Will people have the same thought process with the transatlantic flight, which is good, which is at the minimum 5 hours?
I'm gonna say yeah. Entertainment. That's
because I heard there's regulations on it having entertainment on.
Is
on
it?
flights are a certain threshold. Yeah, I might be wrong, and some might be pulling my leg, but I thought that was a thing.
I think what's the point in having them? People have their phones, people have their iPads, or people have tablets or Androids, whatever, and people download films just to watch.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like,
or read.
Well,
People
yeah,
read
exactly.
books. They'll find their own way to entertain themselves, and I think it's the best idea. Just forget entertainment. So that's one cost down.
But obviously, you look at that. You look at 10 years ago. Not everyone had an iPad. Whereas you look now, most people have got tablet in some sort of description. Whether they use it or not is a different story. But people use their phones a lot.
You don't even need a tablet. You don't need a phone.
Phones are big enough.
Bring a book.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The amount of times I've gone to WH Smith with the intention of reading a book on the flight.
Yeah,
I got to in the first page. I'm like, yeah, I can't remember that.
You've probably gone and bought some football manager's autobiography, haven't you?
Nah, I used that.
Harry Redknapp.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, yes, I read Harry Redknapp's, but yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, anyway, but you're right. You're right in the sense that I think people will start coming up with their own.
They will. They'll find their own
ways about it. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, I think we're both in agreement that there's a massive market.
Yeah. In terms of food, I think
the thing is, airline food, right? At the moment, with low costs, is that's where they make the money. They make the money on alcohol and food. A lot of it, anyway, or a large proportion.
Well, charge like €5 to €8 or pounds or whatever for a bottle of water.
So again, it comes back to the question: will people be willing to pay? Imagine you're going to eat. Say you're going to the west coast of America, right? That's a 10-11 hour flight, I think. I've never been to the west coast, so I couldn't actually tell you. But I think it's a 10-11 hour flight because it's 5 hours to New York.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's another 5 hours across the country, I think. So on 10 hours, on a 10-hour flight, you're going to be eating at least. Well, you're going to have one main meal, put it that way.
Yeah.
You have to.
I'd say 2-3 times.
But you're going to be forking out 20 quid.
I think you should be able to be given the option. Do you want 1, 2 or 3 meals on the flight? It's up to you. But
you've got people starving at that.
Hold on, because sorry, that's up to you. But if you change your mind, you change your mind mid-flight, you're being charged a premium.
Yeah, true. That's actually
that's on you.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I'm telling you, Mr. O'Leary will be doing this.
Yeah.
He'll be listening to this. He'll be like, what?
Copyright it. There's your IP there. Yeah, no, I've never actually thought about it that way.
It's like that. You're already starting to see a movement towards it. Whether it'll last, I think it will, but we'll see. With Norse.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're doing
I mean, there's
low cost. And they've just been accepted by the UK regulator to do commercial flights from the UK over to the US.
It's an interesting move that from whoever's the brain behind Norse, because obviously they've looked
apparently they used to run a low cost Norwegian airline.
Why is it always Norway? Norwegian Airlines were the last ones who tried to do low cost transatlantic.
I don't think they're related.
No, but I'm just saying they're all from Norway.
That's a good point. They probably just want to go to the US so much.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. I mean, they've obviously identified that there's like we were saying earlier, there's a market there, but they've obviously to the point where they've backed it. They've put a lot of money behind it. So it's an interesting development. It'll be interesting to see how it develops. Sorry, say 5 years down the line. I mean, to be honest, I think we'll know within 2 years whether it's a success or failure.